Okay, welcome back, guys. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I kind of want to talk about the state of streaming and all that, and kind of where it's at and where it possibly will go in the future. Now, yeah, if you guys haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. Make sure you guys are still subscribed because YouTube's getting really bad lately. You guys can also follow me on Instagram, Threads, because Threads is part of Instagram, and then X. I think I'm just gonna call it X because some of these streamings or some of these apps you gotta have like you have to kind of share that and all that, yeah. But yeah, make sure you guys are still subscribed, and I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with Twitter, I guess X, I should say X, because I cannot really, I think I might have to actually start buying a membership, which I don't really want to do, but if YouTube is not giving me notifications and all that, or like giving a lot of people notifications from what I can be here reporting. Heck, some videos I've not been getting reported on when they do upload. I might have to do that. I might have to, and that's just annoying, but that's the way it is, I guess. But, anywho, let's go ahead and actually get into this. So, or I guess before I do want to clarify too, I'm just gonna announce the follow me apps right now. I will probably eventually include them in the videos again. I'm not gonna do it right now because I might change some stuff around. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. So we'll have to see there. But yeah, I might because I gotta figure out something, especially with X and all that. I don't know. But I'll figure some stuff out. I know a lot of people don't really want to go to X because of Elon Musk, but I'm like, pretty much no matter where you go anymore, it's going to be kind of, chaotic. As long as I'm getting, notifications and all that, I don't really care, But that's the problem with X. I'm not really getting notifications. So I'll figure out what's going on. But right now, I got a lot of stuff going on. So I'll figure that out lately. Anywho, let's go ahead and actually get into this for real now. So, yeah, there's quite a bit of streaming services out here, quite a bit of them. Honestly, it's getting kind of complicated. Like, it is getting freaking very complicated with, streaming, Actually, this looks like a crowd, too. There's somebody standing over there. I don't know what this picture is from. It says the UCSD Guardian. I don't know what the heck that is, but it's from something, but you can see up here a lot of these streaming channels and services. Now, a lot of these are still around, like Tubi still around. I think, I don't know if ABC still around, but PBS Kids is still around. I think you can still access it. Some of these you can't access anymore. Now we've got Noggin back again. So some of these are kind of, still around, but a lot of these, I don't even know if they're even around anymore. I'm not gonna lie, there is like freaking so many damn streaming services. There's like too many of them. There's like way too many of them. I'm not saying there can't be competition, It kind of reminds me back in the day what people talked about. Now, I didn't grow up in this time period, but I do know people talked about this like in the 90s and all that, that there was this whole console war thing. Everybody was trying to make consoles, and only 3 really made it big. There are some smaller ones out there, but they're not as well known, They kind of license their stuff out. That's kind of what streaming is right now. There is so many of them because everybody is trying to make a streaming service. And the problem is, though, is it's not working out very well. Because, like the consoles, you had to pay, like even Sega and all that, you had to pay, to get games for them. I mean, I guess to be fair, you gotta pay to get games on the consoles now, but, like, you had to, like, go out of your way to buy a console and all that back in the day, which was more money. The thing is, though, compared then to now, though, you already own this stuff. Now it's like you don't own, like, really any of this crap. You pretty much do not own a lot of this stuff. Like, it is ridiculous how many streaming services there are, how many there are. It is crazy. Now, I will say it is nice to have a few of them for competition, kind of like the gaming wars. Like, I mean, even though we got Microsoft, Sony and Nintendo, there clearly isn't a ton to really go to. And like I said, there are some smaller ones that make consoles too. Like, again, the plug-and-play stuff and all that. I think they're still in business is what I last read, which is, I think I looked that up last year. But the three big ones are Nintendo and all that, and other companies, even Disney at one point tried to get into it. Well, they were still licensing their games out to, like, Nintendo and all that, but they were making Disney Infinity and all that. It didn't really work out too well, and now we're kind of just down to the three big ones, and without there being a lot of competition, then there's some problems, too, with that, where a lot of these companies just keep making mistake after mistake. However, we're getting to the point with streaming as well, where I feel like it's ending up like the console wars. We're basically getting into the end of the streaming wars. We're starting to see the crap decline. Some are going to survive, but a lot are going to fail. A lot are going to fail. We kind of saw that with again with with the gaming. Like, it was pretty big, and eventually it died out. It basically died out. And that's what's happening with these streaming services, too. They're, because there are so many of them, it's very complicated to kind of figure out what's on what, It was easier when it was like, YouTube, Hulu, and then, Netflix. Now we have Disney Plus, we have freaking HBO Max, we got Paramount Plus, we got Peacock, Tubi and all that. We got, like, all these different streaming services, and those are only examples of what we have, and it is just ridiculous. Like, it is ridiculous how many there are. And I want to clarify, a lot of these are getting expensive, too. Like, freaking Disney, I'll tell you, Disney is desperate. Like, they are definitely desperate at this point. They really want to beat Netflix. They've tried to say they were in the past. Now, I don't think they're saying that anymore, but they were saying that in the past. They just went out and acquired, like, the rights to use WWE. They don't actually own it, but they actually, acquired that, and then they acquired Fubo TV, which, again, I don't know what that even is. I'm assuming it's some sort of streaming, platform, but I'm like, why the hell did they need to acquire freaking Fubo TV? They already were getting Hulu, That's the thing, though. Disney is spending a ton of money on it, and all these studios are, but, like, Disney definitely is kind of getting pretty bad with that. And I know people are probably sick of me talking about Disney, but when Disney owns a lot of shit, then it's kind of hard not to talk about it. I guess Universal does too, but which they own Peacock, but again, you kind of see the problem here. And the problem is with Disney, though, is now that they're using ESPN and all that, they're now apparently going to give you a bundle for $30. So you can get Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN all for $30. $30. Now, I don't know if that was, like, I don't watch sports much, I don't really watch them. I watched WWE growing up, but I really didn't watch a lot of sports. So I don't know how much you paid for it for separate, but to me, this shit is starting to sound like fucking cable again. And I've talked to people, I told people like this. It's gonna eventually gonna go back to kind of cable again. Like, I think it's gonna be cheaper probably than cable's charging at times, because cable, like Dish and all that, they were charging you over $100 for stuff. But at this point, I mean, even get Netflix has got a lot of original shows on there. So if you pay that and Disney Plus, you're going to be paying, that's about $60. I mean, I guess you can get a deal on Netflix too. Like, I got a deal, but that's like with ads and all that. And apparently, not all the stuff is available. The other option for us was I guess paying $17.99, but that's still expensive. Which, I mean, may not seem like a lot, compared to Dish and all. But when you have crap like all over the place, it's ridiculous. And some crap, some stuff you get deals for. You get deals for it. But a lot of this stuff you don't. You don't get deals for a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff you're basically paying for and all that, and it just gets kind of competitive after a while. And I mean, how come I don't understand, why would people also, by the way, want to pay Disney for a bundle, which, by the way, I mean, they're shutting Hulu down. This is what's confusing, okay? They're shutting Hulu down, but they're going to keep the name up because, again, probably because they spent like $9 billion on Hulu. So they're probably trying to keep it alive to look good on the investors, which that makes sense, okay? They want to I guess that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it kind of, they wanted to shut the platform down because, it doesn't make sense to run multiple platforms, but they're still going to keep the name, which, again, I shouldn't be complaining about because because that'd be another thing Disney ruins, but on the other hand, I'm like, again, why do they need fucking Hulu at all, really? Why not just sell it off? And I was told before, again, that, people are not going to, well, that's the thing with, streaming services, people are not going to want to pay multiple stuff for these streaming platforms. But I'm like, they could put, Disney Plus live TV on their platform and then just sell Hulu off, Because right now would be a good time to do it because a lot of people are getting into streaming, and all that. And apparently they're just going to, merge the platforms. And all, which just seems very confusing and weird. So, are you gonna have to pay Disney Plus, like Netflix? Are you gonna have to pay them more money if you want to access Family Guy and all that? Because I'm like, why the hell would I want to pay? I mean, I barely watch Hulu at all. Why the hell would I want to pay? I mean, I guess apparently other people do. I don't really watch Hulu much. Because I got Family Guy on there, but I watch it sometimes, but pretty much on Family Guy, they pretty much removed a good chunk of the scenes. This is even before Disney acquired it. They moved, Fox removed a bunch of scenes from Family Guy, which is why would I want to watch it on streaming if I can't watch the entire episode, And that's kind of how it is now, and lately you can't, they're not allowing you to buy any more DVDs. Apparently, except for Futurama, they're letting you, apparently they're still releasing Futurama DVDs, which is kind of confusing, but The Simpsons and Family Guy, they do not do that anymore, and Family Guy, I'm surprised is still going, because I feel like nobody talks about it much anymore. Some people do, but a lot of people kind of don't talk about the show much. Maybe it secretly has an audience like Teen Titans Go from, Cartoon Network. Which I did make a video talking about that, too, about, Beast Boy's voice actor. But I don't feel like a lot of people really talk about either of those shows, and somehow they're still running, I wonder if these shows are getting money for older episodes. Kind of like SpongeBob. That's probably how SpongeBob, also got its popularity, too. I think maybe people didn't watch the newer seasons, but they were watching the older stuff, so they got popular that way, So it's possible. It's possible that's why they did it. I don't know. It's very weird. It's definitely very weird how that stuff works. But with streaming too, that's the thing with streaming. I'm like, are they counting the entire show, or are they just counting the older stuff, kind of like cable would do? It's very confusing. Very confusing. But yeah, they could probably. That's the thing though. are they gonna make you pay for Hulu and all that on Disney Plus? You know, I don't know. It's just very confusing. I feel like what they should do is just like make you pay for the same amount. Like you're paying, maybe make it like $12.99 or something, and then, or I guess it'd be more of that. Maybe $15.99. You know, for maybe ESPN2. But I'm sorry, but like paying $30 a month, that's kind of ridiculous. And even Netflix, with them raising prices, it's kind of ridiculous. Netflix, though, I could see more people going to because it's the original place. And people are moving their content back over on Netflix. I see a lot of content on there, you know. A lot of DreamWorks movies are on there. Now, some of them are licensing, you know, so they're disappearing, but a lot of that stuff's still on there. So it's really interesting to kind of see that. But even like HBO Max has been removing shows. Now, people have been pissed about that. People are like, because HBO Max was a very good platform. It really was. Like, I would say it was probably one of the better platforms. Like, because Paramount Plus had a lot of problems when it launched. It's better now, but it still isn't really great. Like, it's one of the cheaper ones, but it's definitely not great. But I will say, Paramount, HBO Max, you know, which is Warner Brothers, had a bunch of shows on there. But now they're suddenly disappearing on the platform. They're disappearing. So, and sometimes you can get, you know, deals with that too. Like, because that's what these studios are trying to do. They're trying to, like, survive. They're trying to, like, because we can see that with Disney. Even though Disney doesn't want to admit it, we can see that they're trying to survive. And then same thing with Warner Brothers and all. They're not going to admit that it's failing, you know. And then but yet we, the audience, can see that. You know, they're trying to hide the numbers. To be fair, Netflix is doing that too, but we can kind of see that, you know, I think they're just getting to the point where they're very desperate. Disney keeps acquiring stuff and all that, and, you know, Warner Brothers, like I said, they're removing content. They just removed, I think, pretty much their entire Boomerang catalog. I'm wondering is HBO Max gonna even survive much longer, you know? I don't know. I said the same thing about Paramount Plus, you know, but Paramount's got, you know, they just merged with Skydance and all that. So, there's that, but the merger with Discovery and all has been a thing for a while. But again, I'm just like, I don't know, it just seems kind of weird. But yeah, we are seeing some streaming services are shutting down. Like we just saw, they just shut down, like, apparently Freebie, I hear, has shut down. They shut down Freebie. They just shut that down, and that's what I heard. They were shutting that down. I didn't even know I think you can still go to the platform, but they're pretty much removed. Because I didn't know it was owned by Amazon for the longest time. So I'm like, it makes sense, I guess, why Amazon probably would shut it down. But I'm like, again, why does Amazon need Freebie, you know? Because I think Amazon Prime has been around for a long time. It's just called Prime Video, but it's been around for a long time. It has. It's been around for a long time. And then they have Freebie, which I don't think has been around forever. But they're now shutting that down. They're gonna shut down, you know, it. But they're shutting down it, but they're also talking about shutting down Pluto TV too, which is part of Paramount. Which Pluto TV was before Paramount. That was before Paramount, which, again, I don't know why they would go out of their way to, like, make a whole nother platform, and just, I don't get it, but, you know, they were definitely late to the party. They were pretty early to the party when it came to removing their content. For a long time, actually, it was kind of hard to find their content, like, not just on Netflix, Hulu, too. Because Hulu had it afterwards, but Hulu had all the newer stuff. Because that's what Hulu was. I felt like Hulu, so where Netflix had the older stuff, Hulu actually had the newer seasons. And a lot of these shows, their newer seasons were not that good, so a lot of people kind of probably went to Netflix to watch the older stuff at times. But there was, some older shows on there. That's actually where I believe I started watching Danny Phantom, which is a Nickelodeon show. I watched that on there. I was like, I wanted to give it a shot. I finally did, and it was on there. So it's like, I'm gonna go ahead and watch it. But a lot of these shows kind of disappeared for a while. Like, I couldn't figure out how to access them. Some of them were coming and going, and now it's like a lot of these shows are just becoming impossible to find in general. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, I don't know how long Pluto TV's been around, but I know it's been around longer than Paramount, but again, it's kind of like with Disney and, Amazon, like, why need multiple platforms, I still can't believe Disney, again, spent $9 billion. I still can't believe they did that. They spent $9 billion, again, on basically nothing, It's kind of like again with Fox, it's like, I mean, yeah, they got like a lot of franchises, but a lot of those franchises were already going downhill. And, there wasn't really nothing really new to, have, like, I mean, if it was maybe 30 or 40 something billion dollars, I can understand, but they spent like over $70 billion for, like, not a lot, they basically didn't get a lot out of Fox, with the money they spent. And that's kind of the thing, too. It's just like, that's what Iger does. Iger will with Disney and all that, he definitely knows. I mean, we got a bunch of CEOs that aren't very good. I mean, like David Lasley is very bad. Like, people hate him. People are definitely turning on Iger. I still remember when people were praising Iger. People were like, this guy is gonna save Disney. He's gonna save it from evil Bob Chapek. Speaking of Bob Chapek, I want to point this out. This is kind of a little bit off topic, but there's this YouTuber on, I had some people on my channel, talk about, he talks about he's an only, he's, Disney Plus only, or something like that. I forgot what his name was, or no, wait, I think it's what's new on Disney Plus, I kind of don't like the guy, I kind of liked him at first, because, like, he's like Bill Skyping, he's gonna keep up with the news, but on Disney, but now he's like, especially when they were calling out their audience, I'm like, basically Disney, was talking about their audience, and, saying, like, the reason why their crap is failing is because, they failed male, what was it, male Gen Zs or something like that, and I'm just like, okay, you can't be blaming your audience for, like, what has happened. I mean, they're still blaming their audience. I mean, they're trying to say that they're trying to make stuff for their audience, they're making stuff for a male, but I'm like, the way they said it sounds very just cringed and all that, and he made a video talking about that, and it was cringe as hell. Like, you could tell the guy was dodging crap. So I'm guessing he probably gets free stuff from from Disney or early access or something like that. Actually, he did do an interview with a couple people who made Buck Wild. And then that movie was pretty bad, and a lot of people hated it. Actually, I don't know. I mean, there was hardly anybody I knew that actually liked that movie. But again, that's what it feels like. I mean, I know it sounds a little bit off topic, but, I was just wanting to point that out, because there is somebody in the comments somebody in the comments was trying to say, like, about Blue Sky and all that, like, that Blue Sky shutting down was under Bob Chapek. And yes, it was. But Bob Iger shut down Touchstone Pictures. He shut down Hollywood Studios. He shut down their freaking animation studios. The one thing Disney is known for. He shut all that down. And all that. And again, people are freaking praising Iger and trying to make it look like he's the good guy, I mean, not as much as anymore. Like, I figured it was going to happen. Like, Iger's going to ruin his ego. I mean, it's still kind of frustrating that people would call out YouTubers and all that for, calling out the BS and all that, and then it turns out that's exactly what's happening. And that's the problem, again, with Iger, like I said, with Disney Plus and all that. Like, I feel like that's the problem. He has his head in his mind about Disney Plus. That's why he acquired Fox. That's why he had a deal with Hulu. He was trying to make, Disney Plus this big thing. And, I mean, it's one thing to make mistakes, okay? I'm not saying, spending $71 billion on something is ridiculous, and then acquiring Hulu on top of it. But the fact that you don't admit your mistakes, and you call out other people for your mistakes, now that is low. That is just low, and that is selfish, And I mean, they're not the only one to do this. A lot of people in Hollywood do this crap to people, but like, a lot of these people in Hollywood aren't also going out acquiring, a bunch of crap either, and that's the problem, Because like I said, Iger's really trying to make Disney Plus work. He's trying his hardest to make it work, and I'm like, it's not going to work. It's going to fail, And I'm pretty much just at the point where I'm pretty much just done with streaming in general, It's like, I mean, this may sound like I'm just talking about Disney, but I just wanted to bring this up, because that's kind of what's happening, Like, I think a lot of these streaming services are going to disappear. Now, Disney Plus, I think they're going to stay longer. They're going to stay. Like, Disney Plus is going to stay, longer. Like, I think they're going to eventually probably shut down, but I think it's going to, I've been saying that in the past, but I think they're definitely going to shut Disney Plus down. But I think it's going to take a little bit, because again, they're going to try to do what they can. They're going to try to cut people, replace them with AI, and then also cut animation. But eventually, like I said, they're going to eventually hit a ceiling, and they're going to have to do something else. I mean, they might try to shut down maybe some other stuff, but that's the problem too. Again, that's the problem. When you got a CEO that can't admit that they're making mistakes and all that, and somehow still has a freaking job, that's the problem. Now, I think Iger is going to be out the door before that happens, because Iger, I believe he's going to leave in 2026. And you might be thinking he might try to stay and keep his power, but no, I think this time he's going to leave. He's going to leave, because, he's going to leave, and I think that new guy, what was his name, Joe or something like that, I don't forgot his last name, he's going to take over, the guy that they were doing an interview with the guy from MSC or whatever it was, talking about Disney Plus and all, and buying, all that, buying the, the rights to stream, certain stuff like what was it, like, they bought the rights to, like, stream, what was it, WWE, that's what it was, But I think he's going to become the CEO of Disney. I think he's going to become the CEO, and that's not good, because that guy, all he was talking about was buying shit, and I'm like, again, you can't buy shit. You need to focus on the shit you have. You need to stop buying stuff, And I'm just like, that's the problem. They don't understand that stuff. And again, like with with streaming, I'm not saying all these streaming services can't do stuff, but on my Paramount, I'm gonna see what's gonna happen with Paramount, because with that merger that's happened, I'm kind of wanting to see what will happen. But I think even Paramount, I think they need to just shut Paramount Plus down. I mean, I watch it a bit more than the others, but even I'm like, I feel like there needs to be a limit, but that's the thing though. Like, I do think we're getting to the point where we are gonna see some mergers, some shutting down stuff. We are gonna see a lot of things change, and a lot of these services that we once loved are probably gonna be gone. And I don't know. I don't really know if, like, there's even TikTok too. I don't know. I don't know, TikTok, well, TikTok and Twitch, or even YouTube is not really, YouTube's got YouTube TV, but a lot of those aren't really part of that, but, but you do, like, make your own content on there. And actually, YouTube's trying to do what they're doing and trying to compete with that, which, again, I'm like, they're kind of doing what Disney's doing, trying to, like, again, they're trying to control people and all that. And that's actually how Maker Studios shut down, because there was a thing called Maker Studios, which, you know, I'm going to let the video go in a second, but I want to bring this up. Maker Studios was a thing, and Disney wanted to be YouTube by acquiring it. And then I mean, I never really got to be part of that because it shut down. But they, for people that have gone to Maker Studios, they were trying to control people and all that, and it backfired in their face. They shut it down. I'm like, YouTube shouldn't be doing that. YouTube should let people make their own stuff. Like, I get there needs to be boundaries, but again, like, when you go too far, like, that's the problem, you know, and right now, yeah, I think they're going too far with some stuff, so I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know if they'll shut it down anytime soon, but there's talk that TikTok might shut down. They might shut TikTok down, which I still think is stupid. I'm like, I mean, Trump, you know, I will say people were talking about how Trump will just shut it down. Trump did actually save TikTok, but they're still trying, like him and the people in the U.S. are still trying to get TikTok, you know, mainly over here and all that. It's making it more complicated. I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just like just let TikTok, you know, be worldwide, you know. I mean, I don't know. It's very confusing. I don't know. It's very confusing, but you know, I don't know, because I think some of these, like I said, I think TikTok could be a good streaming platform. Now the problem with TikTok, I will say, I think it does eat up a lot of your battery, and it does take up a lot of space on your phone. But honestly, at this point, though, I think TikTok is kind of becoming. I mean, TikTok's popular. It is popular, but I do think it's going to be, I don't know if it'll survive. It might end up like a lot of these other streaming platforms. It might just shut down. I don't know. But, I know it sounds like I'm going off topic, but you can literally see Twitch when you go on the TV. That's why I wanted to bring that up, which I find kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, but the thing is too with these platforms, there are more also. There's more that are coming. People are making more of them. But I definitely think we are going to see less of them. We're going to see less. But I don't want all the streaming services to disappear. I want competition. But I will say I am somebody who prefers physical media over digital media. I will say that. But there's nothing wrong with having, you know, some competition. You know, you just don't want a bunch of it, you know. But, anywho, we'll see what happens here. But yeah, I think a lot of these are gonna shut down. Like, I think Paramount might be alright, but I think HBO Max, I think it might be finished. And then I think Disney Plus is gonna stay, but I think they're gonna eventually shut down probably ESPN next and all that. And I think eventually Disney Plus will probably shut down too, because I want them to shut down. I think they're spending too much money on Disney Plus. They need to put their stuff, I feel like, back on other platforms, you know. But I don't know if they're going to do that or not. But right now, we don't really, there's not really much else. There's not really, I mean, they're trying to, like, you know, again, try to compete with some Netflix, because, you know, competition. But yeah, I don't know. But we'll see what happens. But anywho, I'm going to go ahead and let this video go, because I actually do have one more I want to make right now. And I plan to kind of stop for right now, but I want to make this video. This will be an update on one of my Let's Plays, because it's kind of some unfortunate news for me, but I'm gonna make it. So, anywho, see you guys later. Bye bye.